All right. What's up, everybody? All right, we'll get rolling with our Friday. So I'll hit you up on the captains first as we head for this week. So three that'll be for this week will be Noah Brown, Quinn Martin, and John Bates. And just love the toughness these guys have, what they bring. So it's a fun part of every Friday talking to the team about those three. And so Noah, just his toughness, selflessness, and Quinn, just the tackling, the hitting, what he brings to us, and then John, just all the energy he brings. Does a lot of the dirty work that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So all three of those guys, they'll lead us this week. So good week of practice, tough division matchup, and 7 weeks ago, good fight. Expect the same good fight, hard, however long it takes, 5 quarters longer mindset, and so that's where we're at.
How did Frankie Louvu get through this week?
Yeah, he did better as he was going through. It reminded me a little bit of the Carolina week, John, with him, where it was sore early in the week, and then by yesterday it was getting better. Then today, was able to look more like himself. So that was a good sign for us.
When you look at how Jaden handles situations like this week, that game, what's jumped out to you?
I would say there's a lot. I think I've learned a lot about him, in whether it's 6 months or what have you. Just I found out about the competitor. I'd heard about it, but then it's one thing to see it, but then another thing to, feel it with your own eyes. I found out about the preparation for him and his toughness. And I know that in the moments is some of the winning time moments is really where he's really strong, John. And so where some people can feel tight into those spots, I think, quite honestly, he really energizes up for that spot. And I felt that 7 weeks ago when we played the Giants in a close game. Here's the last drive to go, and he had that smile about him, all right, this is time.
Dexter Lawrence is having a pretty good year for them, but you guys,
well said.
you guys kept it somewhat quiet in the opener. What's the I don't know if he's improved, but what's been different for him, or if anything, was it a great day for you guys, or something different from him from then to now?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a great day. I think their team had 5 sacks on the day. And sometimes that happens when a guy who is playing as well as he is gets extra attention. I've certainly, been a part of a couple of defenses like that where that takes place, where so much attention goes to one space and other guys get opportunities. I think what makes him so unique, he can be at any spot along the line. And when somebody aligns only at one spot, that can be an advantage towards the offense when this is where he's going to be. When you move people around like they're doing with him, I think that's when the uniqueness of a special player comes out, and he certainly can.
And super off topic, this is obviously the last week before the election. Do you talk, especially your younger guys, you talk to them at all just about what an election means? Or just
absolutely we did. And we talked about the importance of it, where we live, and we talked about the importance of voting, and not who you're voting for, but the importance of voting. And so that's what we discussed, and knowing that's a way to use your vote and your voice. But again, it was the power of voting, not who you are, but just the fact that you can.
You mentioned Jaden's toughness a couple minutes ago. He'll sort of brush off questions about his injury in here, but what he's been able to do, is it tough physically what he's been dealing with?
Yeah, I think this time of year, everybody has stuff. If you've been playing a lot in the NFL on every team, there's stuff that guys battle through that maybe no one else knows about. Obviously with quarterback, there was just a little bit of attention on that last week, pun intended. But for a lot of the players, we saw it with Allegretti and we saw it with others going through that, the locker room knows. And when you just demonstrate that kind of toughness to your teammates, I'll be there. And those are impactful moments, knowing that they'll just battle for one another. And so that was his way of demonstrating that.
Jeremy nominated today for the Salute to Service Award. I believe you've won that a couple times, right?
I have won it, yep.
Okay, yeah. Just what an honor is it to just be nominated for
that? I thought, and we announced that today in the team meeting, and we rely heavily on the military and some of the influence they have, because I felt like they have done team better than anybody. And so for us to get a chance to recognize, people that support our military and the team, great teammates, make great teams, and Jeremy Reeves is a great teammate. And so we're all really pumped for him to be our nominee for the Salute to Service Award, because yeah, he represents everything that you'd want in a teammate, and that's why I thought it was so impactful today.
Not Noah Brown. I cannot catch a touchdown. Coach, it's week 9, going into the last stretch of the season here. Are there anything that you're seeing with the team that you're said, okay, we must do better at this?
Yeah, I think we're more in the week to week. So as we're heading into November, here's the things we want to get better at. So last Saturday, we kind of all went through our work-ons. What's the next thing for us, Candy? Meaning heading into this week. And so these are the specific things. All 70 of the players say, I want to get better at this one thing. It may have carried over from early in the season, but it may have been, right now. But as a team, I'm always digging on the turnover margin. As we sit here at +4, that's something that for us to become the team we want to be, we can increase upon that. And so that's a big deal for us. The tackling and the breaking tackles is a big deal for us. And the situation football, those are 3 that come to mind right off the bat as an entire team. But what I do love about individually, people are digging to get better and being relentless about that. So collectively, we all lift when we're doing that. So there's a lot for us to improve on individually and as a team. But the ball, the tackling, and the situation times, those as a team, those are the top of my list.
And for what you've seen out of the Giants from week 2 to this week, what are some of the differences you've seen in that team? I
don't know if it's the difference because it was so early, so you don't know any of the stats and that kind of stuff, but I have been impressed defensively. And they've been able to really generate pass rush in just about every category. They've been really strong. So a lot of respect for what they're doing defensively. On the offensive side, I feel their speed, at receiver. There's catch and run, there's shot plays, there's all that to go. And I thought the addition, of using both running backs has been a big factor for them. And so those are a few of the things. Both teams have improved since week 2. And so now, 7 weeks later, it'll be fun to go battle with them again, knowing that both teams have gotten better in this stretch.
Good afternoon, Coach.
Hey, Dave.
What does it take to be a really effective chip blocker in the NFL?
It's not like a uniquely special skill, but it does have to have some feel to it because what happens sometimes, a rusher may come up, work underneath. Some try to chip the chipper, so it's about your leverage. And anytime, think of like rebounding in basketball, the guy that gets underneath and can box somebody out usually wins. Same thing, when you're on the edge and trying to take the speed off the rusher, you have to get underneath of them.
And then you guys pretty clearly prefer to have your guys chip and release. Some coaches prefer to have the guys not necessarily chip, but just kind of hold in and stay in as an extra blocker. Can you kind of talk about the strategic considerations for both?
Sure. I think when you're staying in, you're usually involved in some type of max protection where now you're likely down to 3 guys into the route. Some people do tight ends and back. Some people do receivers to go. Some people will line in the backfield and do it. Some will look like an empty formation to do it. But I think after you can slow a pass rush down if you can, you still want options available for the QB. If there's somebody that's not going to get outside the pocket and not as mobile, then that would be a time maybe where you leave more protection in. But in our case, creating plays outside the pocket is big too.
With Jaden's mobility, the number of times we've seen free rushers just miss or him slip through the grasp of a tackler, what makes him so good at that as he's scrambling? Yeah,
I think there's a lot that goes into it. It's absolutely an X factor when guys can do it. And 2 that we've played this year that stood out to me were like Lamar and Caleb last week of in and out of the pocket. So sometimes a quarterback, Nicky, will go high and avoid outside. And so the guys that can move in, move out, escape in a B gap, and have everything available to them, those are the most challenging because if somebody just wants to scramble and get wide, you can build a defense for that. But when there's a lot of options inside, outside, sliding in the pocket, those are the most challenging. And Jaden's got the ability to hitch up or go back. If you go back, you better be fast enough to outrun and circle the defense, if you can kind of picture that. So a guy who gets deep and then gets outside. So the really fast ones can go back and then, try to circle a rusher.
And with Joe Witt, what he's done to really galvanize the defense, from looking at where they started in week 1 to how they've really come together at this point. What have you seen from him just in leading that group?
Yeah, I would say the things that you guys don't see that the players do is like Joe is a tremendous teacher. that's one of the first things that that jumped across me, to me years back when I got a chance to start with him. The detail, you feel his experience. You feel, that he can use an example of a player or a play and then tie it in. So those are the things that I thought early on it was hard on us, and I thought he stayed very consistent. Here's the approach. Here's how we're going to go to get better. And you'd heard me say I thought we were closer than the numbers would indicate, and so to see their connection taking place, that's a big deal.
Take time for two more.
Why Ojolari replaces Thibodeau? He's having a really good year. What makes him?
I think beating somebody to the punch as a pass rusher is a lot of it, and so he has got a really good get off, John. Like he can really jump off the ball, and so if you can beat somebody to the punch and get an offensive lineman a little bit, off balance to go, but it's his speed up and outside. We were talking about to Nicky earlier, the quarterbacks that can run and get outside. He's somebody that has the speed to go chase you down, and that's one of the things that's been impressive about him.
Do you expect Lulu to play?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Cornelius will not play. So he's worked hard to make it back, but we're just not there yet, in terms of not getting practices and ready to go. But past that, everything's on the up. Yep, so we're doing well. Yep, everything's doing good. Yep, you'll get all the stuff. Everything's doing good. Coleman, it's not Coleman. Coleman's doing well. Lucas will be out.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, guys. I'm doing outstanding. How about you, Kenny? All right. November, let's get it.
Locker room's open, and Tom, if you can hang behind.
All right, thank you, everybody. All right, we'll see you Sunday in New York. Same spot.